Thank God GM is about to redesign this truck, because this is gonna be a bloodbath. And I'm a little concerned that I might lose 10% of my followers who are GM fanboys, because this video is where you can tell GM is just outgunned. And what it's about to go up against is not easy. So I borrowed these trucks from Jerry Seiner and Larry H. Miller. So if you need a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Sandy, Utah, be sure to text the number down below, or GMC. They got a lot of selection at both dealerships. Let's go ahead and check out which truck costs the most. So here's a pop quiz. Which truck is cheaper when it comes down to the base price? Be sure to answer right now. Don't cheat. Just answer Ram or GMC. Which one has the cheapest base price? If you selected the GMC, you're wrong. Yes, the Ram starts at $73,045. That is insane. However, it does have an equipment group package, which means it's an additional $10,000. And I'll explain what that means here in a second. If you're looking at the GMC, it has a base price of $79,600. Now, if you want the V8, it will cost you $1,500, and it does give you an active exhaust too. Destination is $27,995, and the total price on this GMC is going to be $84,290. On the Ram, you guys see here, it only has bed utility. The paint was an additional charge too. And with the level 1, it basically gives it the premium interior and all the nice features, plus the twin panel roof. Destination is $25,995 for a total price of $88,695. When you consider the base price of the RHO, it's going to cost you $6,755 less than the AT4X. However, if you want this to be comparable like this, well, the Ram's going to cost you $4,405 more. And that's what's insane about this lineup here. Baja truck versus off-road truck. And I get it, it's not apples to apples, but remember, GM decided not to build a truck up until now, whereas Ram has had the TRX and this now. So it's only their fault, and this is why I'm doing this video, because as they decide to do a redesign, hopefully they have this in the cards to compete with, because this is a good template, GM, just saying. Now let's go ahead and marvel real quick at this beautiful beast over here. Look at the hood on this Ram. This thing has a functional hood scoop, and it doesn't just stop there. It also has these heat extractors, and it has some clearance lights in the center too. Now look at how wide the stance is on this truck. It is 6 inches wider compared to the regular Ram 1500s. And then you have the off-road bumper, which is steel, recovery hooks, great skid plates down below, right? And they go way back too. But don't count my AT4X out yet, because it does have the AEV front bumper. Also, you have an AEV edition package, which will give you better skid plates and rear bumper. But let's just be honest, the only advantage you have with these front bumpers is it is boron steel. They are e-coated and powder coated, and you can add a winch to this front bumper. Can't do that on the Ram. Both trucks have adaptive cruise control, 360 camera, although I think 360 is an option on this truck. As a matter of fact, real quickly, let's just go through all those features just so you have a better understanding, because I don't know off the top of my head every single thing, but I can point it out. That way you have a better understanding on the pricing on this truck, because for some guys, maybe all those features may not be worth it to you. So massage seats, and that's driver and passenger, heated second row, ventilated rear, ventilated front seats. Also, it has a recline function for the rear seats, hands-free active driving assist, which is not available for the AT4X. Also, 14.5-inch display will come standard with a 12-inch display. Power adjustable pedals with memory, power tailgate, dual wireless charger, digital rear view mirror, leather and carbon flat bottom steering wheel, 19-speaker Harman Kardon. I think it would come standard with like a 9-speaker. And front passenger interactive display, rain sensing wipers, heads up display. So 360 is an option. And then wrapped driver and passenger assist handles, and then luxury front door trim panel. That's pretty much everything in these packages. So with that being said, as far as that goes on the exterior, these big tires, the suspension, all that comes standard on the RHO. So let's go ahead and turn out the steering wheel really quickly. I want to show you guys the suspension on both sides because I'm going to teach you something today. Starting off with the Ram, look at these overbuilt upper and lower arms. That bottom one is just insane. It looks like it should be on a semi truck. You can see the knuckle inside of there too. Now the coils on this truck are a little bit softer because again, this truck is built for jumping, but look at the Black Hawk shocks by Bilstein, 2.6 inch diameter body. And you guys see that squared off section on the body? This does use spool valves. You can also see it does have the reservoirs tucked in right there, nice and safe. However, on this side of the house, you also have a slightly softer suspension because this is a purpose-built off-road truck. And I will say this lower arm is pretty overbuilt too. It has some stiffening right there. Both trucks have independent suspension, obviously. A little bit more aluminum for that knuckle. But this Multimatic DSSV is spool valve. So both of these trucks have a spool valve suspension. However, the Ram has an active one. This is not. So that's the biggest advantage on the Ram. Now, this does have an internal reservoir compared to this Ram's, which is external. And when you look at the tires, look at how girthy the Ram tires are. You can really see the size difference between the two because yes, the Ram is basically rocking 35s. So these are the Goodyear Wrangler Territory ATs, LT 325/65. 18 has 3,195 pounds of capacity at 50 PSI cold. These are the Goodyear Wrangler Territory MTs. Tire size is an LT 275/70 18. So basically, if you're wondering, the Ram does have 34.6 inch tall tires compared to the 33.2 inch tall tires, but the width 10.8 inches wide on this GMC versus 12.8. So yeah, these tires are just bigger in every way, and you can really tell the difference. Now, you have more clearance lights off to the side here. Both trucks have premium lighting. I don't feel like I have to point that out to you guys at this point because they all pretty much have that. And as you go further back, you guys see the fender flares here compared to the Ram. This truck is just so wide, and I love that about this truck. Painted mirror caps on both sides, black. Painted door handles, smart key system for the front doors. Standard beds, only available for these trucks. Look at the height difference between the two. And you do have a skid plate for that transfer case, and that's pretty much it. You'd have to get the AV edition to get more. So here's where things are gonna go downhill. 24-gallon fuel tank on this GMC versus 33-gallon. Both trucks require premium, although GM says they recommend it. Now, Outback, full LED taillights. On this side of the house, you do have a full LED taillight here. And you do have the multi-pro tailgate, which is actually really nice because, get this, it acts as a step for you, and it has the kicker sound system. So if you like to tailgate, this truck is definitely going to give you a little bit more usability for stuff like that. A little bit of power, bed lights back here. Now, the Ram, just note you have the dual exhaust. You don't have that on this off-road truck because typically they put the exhaust up higher, and that makes sense. And as you saw on the window sticker, this guy is powered. Spray in, you have the tie downs with the rails, bed lights, 400 watts of power, and let's be lazy here, just slight kick up and it goes up. Now, if you want to do that for the GM, you're gonna be here all day. You're gonna have to use those hands and lift up, which isn't too bad, right? Not too bad. Overall, parking sensors on both sides. But I like the dual exhaust. It does look really nice. But get this, I love this about the AT4X. Matching wheel and tire, this truck's gonna have a 323 front and rear lockers. However, that Ram only has a rear locker. Oops, that sucks. I do like that you have the recovery hooks out back. You do have a what looks to be matching wheel and tire. You guys can tell me, is that the same spoke design? You could probably see it better. Now this truck's have a 392 rear with the locker. And let's see what protection you have real quickly. Skid plate for the fuel tank, transfer case, and transmission. Not bad. Let's pop the hoods and talk about these powertrains. When it comes down to the powertrains, the AT4X comes standard with a diesel. It's a 3-liter inline 6, kind of like this engine. This is a 3-liter inline 6 gas engine, and it comes standard with that too. However, as you guys saw on the window sticker, that $1,500 gives you the 6.2 liter, which has 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a 10-speed transmission. However, if I was picking powertrains right now, I would go this way, because who doesn't like 540 horsepower and 521 pound-feet of torque? And I would say that this engine is pretty overbuilt. Also, I have friends, you guys know C-Tech Review, also Rocky Road has this truck too, and a couple other guys on YouTube have them, and they have not said anything negative about this in terms of reliability. Also, cold air intake comes standard. Now, if you want that cold air intake on the side, that is available for the 6.2 as a accessory from GM, so that is pretty cool. But overall, I do like the 6.2, but you guys know what's been happening in the news. There's been a lot of talk about reliability, so GM is definitely doing some updates to their powertrains. So I would say for now, this Hurricane engine gets my pick. I completely forgot to show you guys the rear suspension. So you have a leaf pack on the GMC, wax coating. This suspension is actually a little bit better than what you see on the regular Sierras. And on this side, coil. So this is a multi-link suspension, and it's not built for towing. I would venture to say both of these trucks are heavily reduced for towing because of the payload capacity, which I'll show you at the end of this video. But let's go ahead and talk about the interior, because this is where the rubber meets the road for some people. You're gonna spend more time here, so this is what you really wanna see. Now, you do have a 12-speaker Bose premium sound system. And I might add, this is the best off-road package interior in the segment until you see this. I have to admit to you guys, Ram is just killing it. Carbon fiber and the soft touch on the interior just goes on and on. 19-speaker Harman Kardon. And these seats, absolute fire. Now again, as you guys saw, this truck does cost more money, and if you gotta have a little bit of sporty accents, you can add red for an additional, what, 1,200 bucks, I believe it is. It's not a cheap option, just be sure to check it out. But yeah, overall, this interior, it hits. Now, I will say, come on, Ram. At this price point, I want power, just like that. GMC. This is definitely a nice interior. Suede on the roof, A and B pillars, and the massage function is just for the top, although on the Ram it's for the top and bottom. But remember this, it was an option, so you can't get that in that AT4X too. Now, this truck does not have the suede, but it does have the leather wrapping on the grab handles, and that's gonna be for the front ones only. Although I will say, on this GM, it gives you the leather wrapping here, the suede, and leather wrapping on the back ones too. Now, in the rear, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. Again, great attention to detail. I love the storage they give you here. Outboard heated seats, more storage underneath the seat. Armrest right there. Decent headroom too, but this cab is definitely smaller than this one. And I like how wide the door opens. Look at the suede on the door. Molly strips down below. Also, they still give you the storage there. These back seats do recline, and you have a really nice armrest here. More suede, by the way. Also heated and ventilated back seats. This is a bloodbath, guys. For the little bit of money that you got to pay for this truck, I'm buying the Ram truck. I'm sorry, this is just a better truck. And it's clear, like, I like what you're getting in this package. I like the floor space you have back here. You have more USBs. By the way, GM, if you're watching this video, you see this, guys? There's a power plug there. There's also a power plug up here. It's right in here. 115 volt power plug, although GM is 120, so there's that too. But the storage, the center console, it's just better thought out. And you do have your gear selector, dual wireless charger. What I like about this is, if you're on a long trip and you just need your phone to be trickle charged, you have that availability with these. Tons of USBs. These are just for charging, and you can do dual phone for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You have that screen here for the passenger side, which some people don't care about, so I'm not going to make that obviously a pro for the Ram, because some people don't like it. I like the idea of it, but I get why people don't like it. You have a camera on this one, home links up here. Let's jump back over to this GMC. Home link is up top there. You do have the camera for the mirror. They were one of the first trucks to adopt that, by the way. Dual climate control. You do have the wireless charger. This is the only power plug, 120 volt, inside the interior. You only have the one wireless charger, so two USBs, and that's it up front. You saw what the Ram had. It's insane. 13.4 versus 14.5. They both have a 12-inch screen. They both have heads-up display. And I don't know. I think the Ram is just a better truck, guys. I think when you look at them side by side, you get more with the Ram. And this is one of the few times where I can really say it's not even close. Like, just the attention to detail of these trucks. I love the carbon fiber accents too, by the way. It's just done well. So let's go ahead and check out. Actually, there's drive modes. There's so much I can show you guys. There's active suspension. The drive modes are 10 times better. Let's just see that really quickly, and then I'm going to show you guys the numbers on the door real quickly. So this is always in forward drive auto, okay? Axle lock is right there. So I mentioned it had a rear locker. But the drive modes, check this out. Look at how detailed Ram is. It shows you exactly what's happening. It's showing you the sport mode. It shows you that the steering's updated. It shows you that the suspension. I like how they've done this. It even changes the transmission shift points, stability control. Like, everything is updated with whatever one you choose. And you can do a custom one as well. Auxiliary switches are right there. Man, heads up display. I think I mentioned that they both had that. Let's go ahead and check out the drive modes for that GMC. So the dials on this side, it does have forward drive auto, which I do like. So if you swipe it, I'm sorry, it comes up on the screen. You have off-road, you have terrain, you have sport, and then normal. That's pretty much it. You don't have launch control like the RHO does, but it does have an active exhaust. And at the end of this video, I will let you guys listen to both of these trucks, that we have an idea. The front and rear locker buttons are right there. Downhill assist, it's like a cruise control for the trail if you're going down. And then, here are the numbers. The front axle rating is 3,950 pounds. The rear is 3,800 pounds. Gross vehicle rating is 7,100 pounds. 18 by 8.5 wide wheels. All-in payload is 1,269 pounds. And they're saying this can tow 8,700 pounds, but as I said, I would not tow that much probably, because you'll run out of payload in some cases depending on how big the trailer is. Let's check out the numbers for that RHO, and then here's the tire pressure, 38 PSI all the way around. The front axle for this Ram is rated at 4,300 pounds. The rear is 4,200 pounds. Gross vehicle rating is 7,800 pounds. 18 by 9 wide wheels. And I'm a little shocked by this. Payload is 1,341, so it's higher on this truck. 38 PSI all the way around. I hope this video was helpful. As I've said, oh, by the way, this does have the sport pedals. That is an option for the GM trucks too, but it comes standard, probably part of that package, I would venture to say. Possibly, it might come a part of the truck standard too. It's very possible. By the way, I forgot to mention that too. But I think what they have on this side is better because they're fixing that rear bumper. I think the RHO is a better buy here. For the amount of money you'll spend for both of these trucks, and if you add the AEV edition, you'll have even less payload capacity on that truck too. And I might add, it's probably not even worth it once you see what you get in this one. You have a regular sunroof, you have the twin panel. It's just a lot of things that I can justify the price on. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to end off letting you guys hear the exhaust, and then I'll see you guys in the next one.